When the first clouds bloom across the African horizon, dark and heavy like bruises of the sky, the land listens. The air thickens, dust settles, and the whisper of thunder begins to crawl from beyond the hills. For months, the Savannah has been a kingdom of silence and thirst, a place where heat bends the horizon, and every creature measures its breath to survive another day. The golden grass, once soft and plentiful, now stands brittle, its blades crumbling beneath the weight of hunger and wind. Waterholes shrink into muddy mirrors. Cracked earth splits like the skin of an old drum. Yet, in this harsh stillness, a change is coming. It begins as a scent, faint, electric, the smell of distant rain. To the wildebeest, to the zebra, to the gazelle, it is more than moisture. It is memory. It is a signal that awakens the ancient pulse of movement, a call as old as time itself. The great migration begins not with a step, but with a stirring. In the heart of the herds, something shifts. Muscles tense, nostrils flare, mothers nudge their young closer. Every creature knows that the dry season has reached its end, and the promise of new life lies far beyond the horizon. For hundreds of thousands of years, this rhythm has repeated, unchanged, unstoppable. It is not merely instinct, but inheritance, the blueprint of survival written into bone and blood. The wildebeest are the first to feel its strongest. Their bodies, lean and weathered by months of scarcity, seem to hum with restlessness. Around them, zebra herds gather, their black and white forms shimmering like heat waves across the plain. Gazelles and antelope drift closer, joining the tide of anticipation. Soon, the ground itself begins to vibrate with the low murmur of hooves shifting, the collective heartbeat of migration awakening. Across the plains, predators lift their heads. Lions, sprawled in the yellow grass, open amber eyes to the wind that carries the scent of prey. Hyenas rise from the shade of acacia trees, their laughter replaced by focus. Even vultures begin to circle higher, sensing that where the herds go, death will follow. The Savanna, for all its vastness, is a closed system. Every hunger feeds another. Every journey Yet this is not a story of cruelty, but of balance. For every predator that waits, there's a mother protecting her calf. And for every life taken, countless others are sustained. The circle begins anew with each migration. As dawn spills across the horizon, the first movements begin. At first, they are hesitant. A few wildebeest stepping forward, nostrils flaring, scanning the shimmering distance. Then another follows. Then 10. Then hundreds. Within hours, the landscape transforms into a living ocean. Tens of thousands of hooves pound the earth in unison, kicking up clouds of red dust that rise and glow in the morning sun. The air fills with the deep, resonant moans of wildebeest calling to one another, long, low sounds that echo like drums through the open plains. It is a language older than words, a coordination without leaders, a migration led by instinct rather than command. They follow the scent of rain and the promise of new grass that sprouts wherever the storm clouds have passed. The zebras move beside them, not as competitors, but as allies. The partnership between zebra and wildebeest is one of nature's quiet miracles. The zebras, with their keen eyesight, spot predators from afar, while the wildebeest, with their powerful sense of smell, find the freshest grazing grounds. Together, they create a synergy that increases the odds of survival for both. As the herds move, so too does the ecosystem around them. The air comes alive with birds, oxpeckers riding on the backs of buffalo, starlings darting in flocks, egrets gliding low to snatch the insects stirred by the stampede. Even the insects themselves begin their migrations, clouds of locusts rising like smoke above the golden fields. The journey ahead will stretch for over 1,000 miles. From the southern plains of the Serengeti to the northern reaches of the Masai Mara, every step will test endurance, intelligence, and luck. Rivers swollen by recent rains will need to be crossed. Predators will lie in wait at every choke point. Calves will be born along the way, sometimes in the midst of chaos, sometimes under skies streaked with lightning. The strong will lead, the weak will fall, and the circle of life will continue without hesitation. Yet for now, at the beginning of it all, the mood is almost celebratory. After months of stillness, the land itself seems to breathe again. Thunder rolls across the plains, and the first rain falls, a curtain of silver washing over the dust. Animals lift their faces to the sky, eyes half closed, as if receiving a blessing. In the distance, lions watch. Two lionesses move together through the tall grass, their bodies low, muscles coiled beneath tawny skin. They are not hunting yet, merely observing. Their golden eyes follow the rhythm of the herd, calculating, memorizing patterns. They know the migration will bring opportunity and danger, for even the hunters depend on timing and fortune. A misstep, a poorly judged chase, can mean injury and starvation. For now, they walk in silence, the dry grass whispering against their bellies, dust clinging to their whiskers. Behind them, the pride waits, cubs playing lazily in the shade, unaware that the fate of their next meal is already set in motion. The Savannah hums with energy. Everywhere, life stirs. Elephants rumble softly as they move toward watering holes. Giraffes stretch their necks to nibble the green shoots blooming after rain. Warthogs trot between burrows with tails upright like flags of determination. Each creature plays its part in the vast orchestra of renewal. The rain's a conductor, the migration its grand symphony. And though the scene is peaceful now, there is tension beneath the beauty, an unspoken understanding that paradise is temporary. The grass will not stay green forever. The rivers will not always flow. The same rhythm that brings life will soon demand sacrifice. As twilight falls, the sky ignites with fire. Streaks of orange and crimson stretch across the horizon, painting the savanna in molten gold. The herds settle for the night. Calves press close to their mothers, their bodies forming a living mosaic against the fading light. Somewhere beyond the edge of sight, a lion roars, a deep, shuddering sound that vibrates through ground and into bones of every living thing. The wildebeest pause, ears twitching, but they do not panic. They know this sound. It has always been part of their world. The roar is not a warning. It is an announcement. The balance has returned. The migration has begun. And as the stars rise over the African night, the savanna exhales. The dust settles. The rain cools the air, and under that vast, endless sky, millions of lives take their first steps into an uncertain tomorrow. The morning after the first rain is unlike any other on the savanna. The air, washed clean of dust, tastes sharp and alive. Every blade of grass glistens with beads of dew, and the horizon burns with gold as the sun climbs. But the beauty of dawn is deceptive. Beneath its calm lies movement, relentless and immense. The herds are already in motion. What began as a hesitant stir yesterday has become a living river today, a torrent of life stretching from one end of the horizon to the other. Thousands upon thousands of wildebeest, zebras, and gazelles move as though driven by an invisible force. From above, their formation twists and ripples like black smoke drifting across the earth. The sound is overwhelming. The deep, rhythmic thunder of hooves, the grunts and moans of communication, the whisper of grass crushed beneath the tide. It is not chaos, but a kind of order, an ancient choreography perfected by generations that have made the same journey for millennia. Every creature has its role in this vast procession. At the front move the scouts, older wildebeest bulls, scarred and wise, who have crossed this land many times before. They lead not through dominance but experience, guided by the memory of where the rains have fallen. Behind them, mothers with young calves form the heart of the migration, protected by sheer numbers. At the edges, zebras and gazelles weave in and out, scanning the tall grass for predators. Their eyes are sharp, their movements precise. One signal of alarm can ripple through the herd like electricity. To watch it from afar is to witness a living intelligence at work. Thousands of minds moving as one organism, each following instinct, yet together creating a pattern of survival that is as fluid as the wind. Predators are watching. Along the outer reaches of the plains, lionesses crouch low, their bellies brushing the earth. The sun has not yet climbed high enough to sap their strength, and the wind favors them, carrying their scent away from a herd. They move in perfect silence, eyes fixed on the rear, where exhaustion and inexperience collect like sediment. Calves stumble there, struggling to keep pace. Old bulls slow down, ribs showing beneath coarse hide. It is in these moments that the savanna's brutal fairness is revealed. Only the strong endure, and even they must be cautious. A single mistake can end a life. The lions inch closer, every muscle coiled like a drawn bowstring. But not yet. The herd is too dense, the timing imperfect. They wait, patient and calculating, because in the savannah, patience is power. Meanwhile, the march continues. The wildebeest grunt their deep, resonant calls. New, 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 a sound that reverberates across the plains like a drumbeat of life. Calves respond with higher-pitched bleats, mothers answering instantly among the din. This constant vocal exchange keeps the herd connected even when visibility drops in the swirling dust. Every few miles, the rhythm shifts. The animals stop briefly to graze, then move again. The grass is fresh here, sweet and green, nourished by the rains that swept across days ago. As they feed, birds descend in flocks, darting among their legs to snatch disturbed insects. The savannah is alive with motion. Termites rebuilding their mounds, butterflies rising like confetti from damp soil, warthogs emerging from burrows to watch the endless tide of grazers pass. Even the earth itself trembles beneath the weight of life. By midday, the sun becomes merciless. Heat shimmers above the plain, turning the air into waves of distortion. The herd slow their pace, tongues lolling, flanks heaving with exhaustion. Dust clings to their hides, and the smell of sweat and earth thickens the air. Yet they cannot stop. Predators thrive on fatigue, and rest means vulnerability. In this open landscape, movement is protection. The calves, still new to the journey, stumble often, but the herd's momentum carries them along. The mother's instincts are fierce. They nudge, push, and even stand guard when the smallest falter. Occasionally, one falls behind, legs trembling, too tired to rise. The herd does not wait. Nature has no mercy for weakness, and to hesitate is to endanger all. The calf will be taken, not cruelly, but inevitably. Within hours, scavengers will pick the bones clean, returning its life to the soil. As the afternoon light softens, the plains begin to change character. The endless flatness gives way to gentle hills, dotted with acacias whose umbrella-like canopies cast long, cool shadows. The air smells of sap and damp bark. Here, the herds find brief relief. Mothers rest while calves nurse. Zebras roll in the dust to rid themselves of insects. Gazelles leap playfully, shaking off tension. Yet even in these tranquil moments, the awareness of danger never fades. A distant roar can freeze hundreds of animals in place, heads lifted in unison. Silence falls like a curtain. Then, slowly, movement resumes, cautious but unbroken. This is the rhythm of life here. Constant vigilance, constant motion, constant balance between fear and necessity. Far behind, the predators move too, slower, but steady. Hyenas trot along the trail, noses low to the ground, following the scent of blood and dung. Their laughter, when it comes, is not amusement but communication. Signals of distance and direction shared among the clan. They know they don't need to rush. The migration always leaves behind its share of casualties. For them, time is an ally, death is inevitable, and all they must do is wait. Above them, vultures spiral in lazy arcs, tracing the same invisible path the herds have taken. To the untrained eye, these scavengers are grim sentinels of death, but to the ecosystem, they are cleaners, nature's final recyclers, ensuring that nothing is wasted on this journey. As evening descends, the light softens the bronze. The heat fades, replaced by the cool breath of dusk. The herds move again, faster now, using the night to travel while predators rest. The plain becomes a dark ocean of movement beneath the stars. The moon rises, pale and wide, casting silver across the backs of thousands of animals. From a distance, it looks like the earth itself is alive, breathing and shifting in the darkness. Occasionally, the calm is broken by a distant roar or the sharp, panicked bleat of an animal caught. But the herd does not stop. It never stops. The rhythm of migration is stronger than any fear, stronger even than death. It is a pulse of life itself, an unstoppable current that flows through every generation, every heartbeat, every footfall on this ancient soil. As the night deepens, a soft mist begins to roll in from the river valleys ahead. The air cools, and the scent of water grows stronger. The herd feels it instantly. They lift their heads, nostrils flaring, eyes gleaming in the moonlight. Somewhere beyond the darkness lies the first great crossing, the test that will separate the strong from the weak, the living from the fallen. But that is for tomorrow. Tonight, they rest, standing in loose circles, calves tucked safely between adults. Crickets sing, frogs croak in distant pools. The Savanna, for all its danger, hums with peace. And high above, under the starlit canopy of the African sky, the great migration moves onward, an endless river of life, flowing toward destiny. The following days test every heartbeat in the great migration. The euphoria of departure fades quickly, replaced by the sheer grind of distance. The Savanna is vast beyond imagination, a living continent of heat and hunger, of dust and distance. As the herds move farther from the lush grasslands of their home range, the earth begins to change beneath their hooves. The soil turns pale and cracked, the grass thinning to brittle stalks. The wind grows harsher, carrying the dry scent of salt and dust. Here, survival becomes an act of endurance rather than choice. Each step forward feels heavier than the last, and yet they move, not out of will, but instinct. Migration is not something they decide to do. It is something written into their very bones. By the third day, fatigue becomes a visible thing. The calves, once playful, now lag behind, their small legs trembling with every stride. Mothers nudge them forward, their eyes sunken, ribs sharp against their hides. Even the zebras, proud and tireless, show signs of wear, their once vivid stripes now dulled by sweat and dust. The herds no longer move in clean formation. The lines that once rippled like a river become fragmented, pockets of animals breaking off, some lost, some slowing down. Predators sense this disarray instantly. From the hills and gullies, the hunters emerge again. Lions follow the tired. Hyenas stalk the sick. There is no cruelty here, only the order of life. The Savanna rewards strength and punishes weakness without emotion. A single lioness, her coat the color of dry wheat, watches a struggling calf from afar. Her movements are deliberate, each paw placed in silence. Her muscles flow beneath her skin like liquid bronze. She knows the calf's mother will fight, but fatigue dulls even the fiercest instincts. The chase is brief, a burst of motion, a flurry of dust, and then stillness. The herd doesn't look back. The moment passes, and the endless rhythm resumes. In the Savanna, life and death coexist not as opposites, but as partners in an ancient dance. Every loss feeds another survival. And in that exchange, the balance of the wild is maintained. But predators are not the only threat. The further the herds travel, the more they encounter invisible enemies. Disease, parasites, exhaustion, pools of stagnant water, left behind by storms harbor sickness. A few desperate animals drink deeply, their thirst stronger than caution. Within days, some begin to falter. Their movements grow sluggish, eyes dull, foam crusting at the corners of their mouths. The herd gives them no mercy. Those who cannot move are left behind, and the earth reclaims them quickly. Vultures circling above, hyenas waiting for stillness to settle. In the Savanna, death is never wasted. The bones of the fallen nourish the soil feeds the grass, and the grass feeds the living once again. Then comes the dust. It rises like a ghost army as the dry wind sweeps across the plain. Visibility drops to almost nothing, a choking haze that blinds and burns. The herds push through, guided only by sound and instinct. Calves bleat for their mothers, mothers grunt in return, the noise blending into a desperate symphony of survival. The sun above burns white-hot through the dust, baking the ground until even the air shimmers. Every breath tastes of earth. Every step drains strength. But to stop is to perish, and so they continue. By the fifth day, tempers among the predators rise too. The lions grow leaner, the hyenas bolder. At dusk, when the herds pause to graze, danger moves closer. One night, a pack of wild dogs launches a coordinated attack. Their yips and howls slice through the darkness like broken laughter. Fast, tireless, they harry the edges of the herd, isolating the weak. Unlike lions, they rely on precision, working as one, each responding to the movements of the other. Their chase stretches for miles, relentless, until their quarry collapses from exhaustion. The dogs feed in silence. the stars above reflecting in their glassy eyes. Then, just as quickly, they vanish back into the night, leaving only dust and bones behind. Still, the herds press on. For every life lost, 1,000 continue. That is a true miracle of migration. Not the strength of the few, but the persistence of the many. Every generation before us walked the same path, and every generation after will follow. The ground they tread today bears the footprints of ancestors long turned to dust. Their journey is both survival and memory, a living echo of time itself. On the 6th day, clouds gather on the horizon. At first, they appear harmless, faint wisps drifting above the sun-scorched plains. But by afternoon, the wind shifts, carrying a smell that electrifies the air, rain. The herd sense it before a drop even falls. Heads lift in unison. Movement quickens. The first rumble of thunder rolls across the land, deep and distant. Then lightning forks through the sky, splitting the world in two. The rain comes suddenly, not as a drizzle, but as a storm unleashed. Sheets of water pour from the heavens, hammering the earth, turning dust into mud and silence into chaos. Animals bellow and cry, their shapes ghostly in the downpour. Calves stumble, hooves sinking into the slick ground. Mothers call out, voices drowned by the roar of rain. The sky flashes again and again, and the plains become a sea of moving shadows. Yet, in this violence, there is renewal. The water that blinds and batters them is the very reason they move. Within hours, the earth drinks deeply and the scent of fresh grass rises. The herds, soaked and shivering, begin to feed once more. Life, even here, insists on continuing. When dawn returns, it comes soft and forgiving. Mist hangs low over the drenched earth, curling between the acacia trunks like smoke. The air is cool and heavy with the fragrance of wet soil. The herds rest briefly, muzzles buried in the new shoots that push up through the mud. The calves, revitalized, begin to leap and run again, their play a defiant celebration of survival. The adults watch quietly, their sides still heaving from the ordeal, but in their eyes burns a calm fire, the same unspoken promise that has carried them through generations. We will endure. Yet the journey is far from over. Ahead lies the greatest trial of all, the river. Its waters glint faintly in the far distance, a dark ribbon cutting through the green. It promises both salvation and death. For beyond it lie the rich feeding grounds that will sustain them, but to reach them, they must cross a world ruled by crocodiles. And so, as the sun climbs once again, the herds begin to move toward that distant shimmer. Their bodies, scarred and tired, move with renewed determination. The rhythm returns. Hooves beating the ground in perfect unison, dust rising behind them like smoke from 1,000 drums. Above, the sky clears blue and endless. Ahead, the river waits, patient, eternal, and unforgiving. The great migration pushes onward, driven by hunger, by instinct, by something older than thought itself. The Savanna has tested them with distance, disease, and storm, and they have survived. But what lies beyond the next horizon will demand everything they have left. The river appears before them like a living boundary between life and death, wide, dark, and restless beneath the blazing African sun. Its surface glitters deceptively, calm in places and churning in others, as though the earth itself breathes beneath it. To the migrating herds, this is both a destination and a trial, the most perilous passage of their journey. Beyond it lie the lush pastures of Masai Mara, a paradise of green grass, scattered acacias, and cool breezes. But to reach that haven, they must cross the Mara River, a gauntlet of danger that has claimed countless lives across the ages. The air hums with tension as the first ranks of wildebeest gather at the water's edge, their bodies trembling, their nostrils flaring to catch the scent of what waits below. The river's reputation precedes it. Its depths conceal the silent kings of the water, Nile crocodiles, ancient predators that have watched these migrations since before humankind walked the plains. They lie half-submerged, motionless but aware, their yellow eyes glinting just above the current. Some are longer than a man's canoe, their jaws lined with teeth built not just to kill, but to crush. Around them, the water stirs occasionally, a faint ripple, a swirl, the only sign of the danger hidden below. On the far bank, vultures perch in anticipation, their sharp beaks glistening. Even before the crossing begins, the Savannah knows what is coming. The herd hesitates. 100,000 eyes watch the water in silence, waiting for one brave soul to lead. Fear ripples through them like a wave, their bodies pressing close together in restless motion. The calves bawl, sensing their mother's unease. Dust rises, mixing with the hot wind. Every instinct tells them that danger waits ahead. But hunger, thirst, and the rhythm of survival push them onward. Somewhere behind, the predators prowl, lions, hyenas, jackals, following the herd scent like ghosts on the wind. There is no turning back. The plains they have left behind are dry and barren now, and every mouth cries for water. Then, suddenly, one wildebeest steps forward. A leader not by strength, but by impulse. It snorts, lowers its head, and plunges into the water. The sound is like thunder, a splash that ignites chaos. In seconds, the entire front of the herd surges forward, driven by a mix of fear and instinct. Thousands follow, hooves churning mud and foam. The river, once silent, erupts into violence. The air fills with bellows and splashes, the sound of bodies colliding, the water turning brown with churned silt. Calves cry out for their mothers, swallowed by the crush of bodies. And beneath it all, the crocodiles strike. From the depths, they explode upward with terrifying force. Jaws snapping shut around legs and throats, dragging victims below in an instant. The water froths red as the current carries both the living and the dying downstream. A wildebeest trapped in the jaws of a crocodile thrashes wildly, its cries echoing across the banks before silence claims it. Another leaps clear, hooves skimming the water surface, only to be seized midair by another waiting predator. The struggle is ancient, brutal, and eerily rhythmic, as if the river itself demands a sacrifice for passage. Still they come. The weight of the herd drives those behind forward, crushing hesitation beneath necessity. Those who fall are trampled, their bodies swept away by the flood of life that refuses to stop. On the far side, the survivors claw their way up the muddy banks, sides heaving, eyes wide with exhaustion and disbelief. They shake themselves free of the river's grasp, coated in mud and trembling but alive. The first wave collapses on the grass beyond, their breasts ragged, while others continue to pour across behind them. Among the chaos, mothers call for their lost young, bleeding into the storm of noise. Some find one another again, their reunion brief but desperate. Others call until their voices fade, answering only with echoes. Yet even in grief, the movement continues. The herd's instinct overrides sorrow. There is no time to mourn in the savannah. For every mother that loses a calf, another calf clings harder to life. For every predator that feeds, another is left hungry. The river spares no one completely, not even the victorious. By midday, the banks are a battlefield of contrasts. On one side, the dead float silently, their bodies turning slowly in the current, surrounded by circling vultures and crocodiles returning to feast. On the other, the living gather their strength under the watchful eyes of the plain scavengers. Hyenas approach cautiously, their laughter echoing through the heat, while marabou storks wade into the shallows, plucking flesh for what the river leaves behind. It is a grim, necessary cleanup, the savannah's way of restoring balance. Nothing here is wasted. When the sun begins to sink, painting the river gold, the last of the herds finally cross. The frenzy dies down, leaving only silence broken by the low moan of the current. A single wildebeest stands on the far bank, watching the river that nearly claimed it. Its flanks are torn, its eyes hollow but alert. Behind it, thousands graze peacefully now, as if the chaos never happened. Ahead lies abundance, wide meadows of emerald grass stretching to the horizon. The crossing is complete. For another year, the herds have fulfilled their destiny, but the savannah never truly rests. As night descends, a new chorus begins. The cry of hyenas, the grunt of lions, the whisper of wind through tall grass. The survivors may have escaped the jaws of the river, but on these fertile plains, another kind of danger waits. For where there is plenty, predators gather. The river crossing is not the end of the journey. It is merely the gate that opens into another realm of challenges. Above, the stars return, cold, ancient, indifferent witnesses to the endless cycle of migration. The river glistens beneath their light, carrying the memories of the fallen toward the distant sea. Every drop of water that flows tonight carries the story of struggle, courage, and sacrifice. And tomorrow, as dawn breaks over Mara, the great herds will rise again, weary but alive, bound together by a rhythm older than time itself. They will graze, rest, and rebuild their strength. They will teach their young the paths their ancestors once walked. And when the dry season comes again, the same call will echo through their blood, the call of movement, of endurance, of the wild heartbeat that never ceases. The river will wait, as it always does, patient and hungry. The herds will return, as they always have. An eternal drama between predator, prey, and the untamed earth will begin once more beneath the endless African sky. When dawn rises over the Mara plains, it unveils a kingdom that belongs not to man, but to those who rule by tooth, claw, and cunning. The predators of Savannah awaken, stretching in the cool breath of morning, their silhouettes gilded in the molten light of sunrise. Around them, the land hums with life, herds grazing peacefully, birds gliding low over dew-slick grass, insects singing from hidden burrows. Yet beneath this calm surface lies a pulse of tension, an invisible current that binds every creature here to the same law: eat or be eaten. For the lions, this is their reign, not through constant conquest, but through quiet authority. The pride moves like a royal court through their territory. Females, sleek and powerful, are the true heart of their lineage, hunting and nurturing with equal ferocity. Males, larger, more imposing, guard the borders with thunder's roars that roll across the plains like storms. The cubs, born blind and helpless, tumble in the tall grass under the watchful eyes of their mothers, their small paws already practicing the art of the hunt. Every roar, every glance, every scent mark is a declaration. This land is taken. In the cool hours before noon, a lioness leads a silent procession through the grass. Her golden coat blends perfectly with the landscape. Only the flick of her tail betrays her movement. Ahead, a small group of wildebeest graze near a patch of shade. The lioness crouches low, muscles tightening beneath her skin. Around her, two sisters spread wide in perfect formation. It is a strategy honed by centuries. Patience, coordination, precision. The wind shifts in her favor, carrying the scent of prey toward her nostrils. Her ears flatten, her eyes narrow. Then, a signal unseen but understood, she bursts forward. The chase erupts in a thunder of hooves. The wildebeest scatter, confusion fracturing their unity. One stumbles, its hind legs snagging in a hole, and that hesitation seals its fate. The lioness closes the distance in seconds, her leap graceful and terrible. The two collide in a blur of power and panic. Dust swirls, a brief struggle follows, then silence. The others continue to run, vanishing into the horizon. The lioness stands over her kill, breathing hard, her flanks heaving with exertion. Within moments, the rest of the pride emerges from the shadows. Cubs bounding ahead, males approaching with regal indifference. The feast begins not in savagery, but in ceremony. The cubs feed first, then the lionesses, then the males. Order even in brutality. A few miles away, a different kind of hunter surveys the same land. The leopard, solitary, elusive, and mysterious. It rules the trees and the twilight hours. Unlike lions, it hunts alone, guided by stealth rather than strength. In the stillness of afternoon, it lounges on the thick branch in acacia, its spotted coat dappled with sunlight. Below, a herd of impalas grazes, unaware of the death above them. The leopard's tail twitches lazily, its amber eyes half closed. Yet every sense remains sharp, waiting for the right moment. When it strikes, it is like lightning, sudden, precise, fatal. The kill is silent, the escape elegant. Dragging its prize up into the branches, the leopard vanishes again into solitude. And then there are the cheetahs, fragile monarchs of speed. Unlike lions or leopards, they cannot rely on power or stealth alone. Their gift is velocity, a body built for motion, lungs that burst with air, muscles that coil and release like springs. A mother cheetah crouches low beside her cubs, her gaze fixed on a distant gazelle. The cubs mimic her stance, tails flicking in excitement. Then, without warning, she launches forward. The world seems to blur around her, grass bending in her wake, wind screaming past her ears. The chase lasts less than 20 seconds, a ballet of death and grace. When it ends, she stands over a catch, panting, victorious but exhausted. The cubs emerge, mewling softly, and she lets them eat first. In her eyes is no pride, only the weary satisfaction of another day survived. Hyenas patrol the aftermath. Often dismissed as scavengers, they are among the most skilled hunters of the plains. Their laughter fills the night, a chorus of chaos and cunning. They hunt in packs with terrifying efficiency, able to bring down prey many times their size. But they also clean what others leave behind, ensuring no scrap of flesh goes to waste. In this way, they are both the undertakers and the guardians of balance. Their hierarchy is strict. Females dominate, their power marked by scars and authority. Even lions respect a large hyena clan, for they can overwhelm by sheer persistence. As day bleeds into evening, vultures spiral down from the heavens, their wings casting fleeting shadows on the grass. They are the final participants in the Savannah's eternal banquet, the recyclers of death. Where lions and hyenas leave, vultures descend. With efficient precision, they strip bones clean within hours, their sharp beaks working like tools of nature's discipline. Around them, jackals dart in and out, snatching scraps and bones. In this grim harmony, nothing is lost. Every life sustains another. This is the true law of Savannah, balance, not mercy. Each predator, from the lion to the vulture, plays its part in the cycle. Without them, the plains would choke on their own abundance. Predators prevent overgrowth, disease, and collapse. They are not villains of nature, but its architects, enforcing a delicate equilibrium between hunger and renewal. As night falls, the predators rest. The lions stretch beneath acacia shadows, their golden eyes catching the faint glow of starlight. The leopards vanish into the trees. Hyenas prowl under the silver moon, their laughter echoing through the dark. Somewhere far off, the herds huddle close, their silhouettes forming a vast moving sea against the starlit horizon. The Savannah sleeps, but its heart never stops beating. Above it all, the constellations turn slowly, the same stars that watch the first hunts, the first migrations, the first cries of life across the plains. Here, under this eternal sky, predator and prey exist not as enemies, but as equals in the grand design of survival. Every roar, every kill, every breath contributes to the same rhythm. The rhythm of the wild, the balance of life, the law of the land. And as the wind sweeps across the tall grass, carrying the scent of blood and rain, the Savannah whispers its oldest truth. Nothing truly dies here. It only changes form. As weeks pass and the season shifts, the once green paradise begins to fade again beneath the unforgiving blaze of the sun. The rains that transform the plains into a sea of emerald now retreat northward, leaving the earth cracked and thirsty. The rivers shrink into ribbons of mud, pools turn stagnant, and the scent of dust returns to the wind. This is the Savannah's cruel rhythm, abundance followed by scarcity, life followed by trial. For every living creature here, from the smallest termite to the mightiest elephant, survival becomes a test of endurance, intelligence, and unyielding will. The herds feel it first. The wildebeest, zebras, and gazelles that once grazed on endless grass now wander restlessly, their heads lowered, searching for green that no longer exists. The ground beneath their hooves is dry and hot enough to burn. Each day's journey grows longer, the distances between water and forage stretching thin. Calves grow weak, mothers grow thinner, and the low moaning of hunger spreads across the plains like a sorrowful wind. Dust clouds follow the herds, rising like ghostly trails behind them, shimmering in the ruthless sunlight. Their migration becomes a slow march through hardship, not toward new lands this time, but simply toward survival. Predators, too, suffer in silence. Lions lie panting in the shade of acacia trees, their golden coats dulled by heat and dust. Hunting becomes harder when prey is scarce. Hunger gnaws at even the kings of the plains. Pride members grow restless, tempers flare, and cubs mew weakly for milk their mothers can barely provide. At night, their roars echo less as declarations of power and more as laments, a cry to the heavens for mercy. Leopards prowl the parched riverbeds in search of anything to kill, a lone warthog, a weakened antelope, while cheetahs, leaner than ever, rely on sheer speed to claim what little remains. Yet, even in desperation, the savanna maintains its balance. Death, though cruel, ensures that life continue for others. The elephants sense the coming disaster long before it peaks. Their matriarchs, ancient and wise, lead the herds away from the dying plains in search of distant waterholes remembered across generations. Their great feet stir the dust in solemn rhythm, their trunks extended toward the wind, tasting the faint moisture carried from faraway rains. Calves stumble beside their mothers, protected in the circle of their kin. The matriarch stops often, listening to the deep rumble of the earth, a sound too low for human ears, communicating with others miles away. Her memories are a map written in instinct and wisdom, where her kind have walked for centuries. She walks again, guiding her family through drought and despair. In the emptiness left behind, scavengers thrive. Hyenas grow bold, roaming in daylight across the carcass-strewn plains. Vultures circle endlessly overhead, black shapes against a blinding sky. The smell of decay lingers for miles, a harsh reminder that nature wastes nothing. Even death here is a kind of generosity. The bones that bleach under the sun will one day feed the soil, and from that soil, new grass will rise when the rains return. The savanna devours itself only to be reborn, again and again, in an endless loop of destruction and renewal. As the drought deepens, smaller creatures reveal their quiet miracles of survival. Burrowing rodents retreat deep underground, where moisture lingers in hidden pockets of earth. Tortoises seal themselves in mud cocoons, slowing their hearts to wait for rain. The dung beetle rolls its sphere of life, a tiny act of persistence in a vast landscape of loss. Even the acacia trees, symbols of endurance, shed their leaves to conserve water, their thorns gleaming like warning signs in the sun. Life here knows no comfort, yet it never surrenders. Each being, no matter how small, carries a fragment of the savanna's resilience. Then one day, the wind changes. It begins faintly, as a breath on the horizon, cool, moist, and unfamiliar. The air, which for weeks has hung still and heavy, begins to move again. The herds lift their heads, nostrils flaring, sensing something ancient stir within them. The elephants pause, listening. Even the predators stop to watch the sky. On the far horizon, dark clouds begin to rise, stacking upon one another like mountains of shadow. Lightning flickers deep within them, a silent promise. The first raindrop falls, a single jewel of water, striking the dust and vanishing instantly. Then another, and another. Within minutes, the heavens open. The rain comes not as a gentle drizzle, but as salvation unleashed. It crashes down in sheets, drenching the thirsty earth, flooding dry gullies, and transforming the barren plains into rivers of renewal. The sound is deafening, 1,000 drums beating the rhythm of rebirth. Animals cry out in joy and confusion. Wildebeest leap and kick, their exhaustion forgotten. Zebras roll in the mud, their black and white stripes gleaming through the storm. Lions lift their faces to the sky, blinking against the downpour, their manes heavy with water. Even the vultures, grounded by the weight of rain, spread their wings to bathe in the downpour that ends their feast. Within days, the transformation is miraculous. Grass shoots upward in tender green blades, waterholes brim with life, and flowers bloom where bones once lay. Frogs sing from puddles, insects rise in swarms, and the savanna hums once again with abundance. Life, it seems, has forgiven death. Calves born in the aftermath of the storm wobble on uncertain legs, breathing air that smells of wet soil and possibility. The predators recover their strength. The herds find their rhythm again, and the cycle, ancient, endless, and sacred, continues. In the golden light that follows the rain, the savanna looks like a dream reborn. The air is alive with sound. Birds calling, frogs croaking, hooves drumming. The elephants return to their favorite watering holes, spraying arcs of water that shimmer in the sunlight. The lion cubs chase one another through the grass, their roars small but filled with promise. And high above, the clouds drift apart, revealing a sky so blue it feels eternal. For now, peace reigns again in the wild. But deep within every living thing lies a memory of struggle, the reminder that balance is never permanent, that survival is a story rewritten with every sunrise. The savanna does not offer mercy, yet it rewards resilience. It takes, and it gives back in equal measure. As dusk falls and the horizon glows in shades of amber and violet, the camera of imagination pulls back, revealing the vastness of this living world, its scars and its beauty intertwined. And in the distance, a voice, the voice of the wild itself, seems to whisper, "Life here is not about winning. It is about enduring. It is about belonging." The savanna, once silent and scorched, now breathes again, alive, shimmering and vibrant beneath a sky freshly washed by rain. Where death once reigned, life now sings. The air hums with renewal. The deep, rhythmic croak of frog from hidden pools, the buzz of insects rising in golden clouds, the distant lowing of wildebeest calves learning to call their mothers. After months of drought and hunger, the plains are reborn in a single, sweeping act of nature's forgiveness. Every living thing seems to move in gratitude, as if aware that survival here is never right, only a brief, precious reward. In the first light of dawn, dew clings to the tall grass like a million diamonds. Herds stretch across the horizon, feeding peacefully. Wildebeest calves, born in staggering numbers after the rain, stumble beside their mothers, fragile but fearless. Their legs tremble, their bodies slick with birth, yet within minutes they stand, driven by instinct older than time. For in the wild, life must learn quickly. Hesitation is death. Their mothers nuzzle them with soft grunts, guiding them toward the safety of the herd. Nearby, zebra foals frolic, their small bodies striped with patterns as unique as fingerprints. They leap through puddles, kicking up sprays of water, their joy a living symbol of the savanna's rebirth. The air is heavy with the scent of new grass, sweet, green, and thick. It carries a promise that the worst is past. The herds move slowly now, not out of exhaustion but contentment. Their bellies are full, their coats glossy, their eyes calm. This is a season of plenty, a fleeting window when death loosens its grip. For the predators, too, this is a time of renewal. Lions rest with their cubs under the shade of acacias, their golden fur gleaming in the soft light. The lionesses' bodies, lean from hunger months before, now ripple with strength once more. Cubs tumble across their paws, biting tails, swatting ears, and wrestling in mock battles that echo the instincts of their lineage. Nearby, a mother cheetah lies in the shade, her eyes half closed as her cubs play around her. They are clumsy and curious, miniature versions of her sleek form, their faces marked with the same tear-shaped streaks. One cub chases a butterfly, pouncing too late and tumbling into grass. The mother lifts her head, watching, her gaze soft yet alert. Every lesson in play is a lesson in survival. Someday soon, they will learn to stalk, to chase, to kill. But for now, she allows them innocence, if only for a moment. In this brief season, the savanna grants its children the gift of safety. The elephants, matriarchs of wisdom, celebrate in their own way. Their herds move gracefully across the green plains, stopping to feed and bathe in newly filled watering holes. The youngest calves splash in the shallows, trumpeting in delight as older siblings shower them with trunks full of water. Mothers watch, rumbling deep notes of affection, sounds felt as much as heard, vibrations through the earth that bind the herd in unity. The matriarch, ancient and calm, leads into groves where fruit has ripened once more. Her eyes, clouded with age, still remember every drought, every migration, every loss. To her, this abundance is not mere comfort. It is a cycle fulfilled, proof that endurance is rewarded. High above, the skies mirror the rebirth below. Migratory birds return from distant lands, painting the heavens with motion. Storks glide in vast flocks, their wings cutting smooth arcs against the clouds. Swallows dart and weave through the air, chasing swarms of insects. And at dusk, when the sun melts into horizon, the air fills with the haunting calls of crowned cranes, their silhouettes like poetry against a fading gold. Each sound, each flight, each song contributes to the great orchestra of the wild, playing a melody older than civilization itself. Yet even in this abundance, the memory of loss lingers. The bones of those who did not survive the drought still lie scattered across the grass, pale reminders that life's gift is never guaranteed. But from those bones, new growth has sprung. The grass that feeds the living is nourished by the dead. The circle, unbroken, continues its silent dance. The Savanna does not mourn. It remembers. In its memory lies strength, the wisdom that life and death are not enemies but partners. As night falls, the world cools into silver calm. The full moon rises over the plains, bathing everything in soft light. Fireflies pulse in the tall grass like fallen stars. The herds settle in close formation, mothers and calves press together, their breaths slow and synchronized. In the distance, lions call, not in hunger, but in proclamation. Their roars roll across the savanna, echoing through valleys and rivers, announcing not conquest but existence. We are still here. From the trees, leopards descend to hunt by moonlight, their shadows gliding silently across the earth. A pair of hyenas trot past, laughing softly to each other as they search for leftovers. Even in peace, the savanna remains alert, every sound, every scent, every flicker of movement carrying meaning. The land is alive in every heartbeat. As a camera of imagination drifts above the plains, the scope of the savanna stretches endlessly, rivers winding like silver ribbons, forests glowing faintly, herds moving like tides of life. It is a landscape written in rhythm, where every creature plays its verse in the song of survival. Birth and death, drought and rain, predator and prey, all threads in the same tapestry. And though the faces of each generation fade, their legacy endures in the instincts passed on, in the migrations repeated, in the eternal will to live. When dawn comes again, the young will rise to take their parents' places. The cubs will grow into hunters, the calves into leaders, the fledglings into travelers of the sky. The savanna will greet them all the same way it greeted their ancestors, with challenge, with beauty, with truth. For in this wild, the only immortality is continuity. And so, as the light breaks over grasslands once more, the earth exhales, steady, timeless, alive. The voice of the narrator fades into. The dawn rises once more, spilling gold across the endless horizon of the savanna. It is a light that touches everything. The peaks of termite mounds, the tips of acacia thorns, the soft backs of grazing antelope. The air hums with renewal, yet beneath its beauty lies an eternal truth. This land never truly rests. It is not a paradise nor a battlefield. It is both. It is a realm where every breath taken must be earned, where the balance of life depends on struggle, instinct, and the endless rhythm of survival. The great migration once again begins to stir. The herds have eaten, healed, birthed, and rested, and now, as the grass thins and the rivers fade, the ancient call begins to echo through their blood. Southward once more, they will move, guided not by reason, but by memory written deep within their bones. The wildebeest are first to sense it. Their hooves stamp in restlessness. Their heads rise, sniffing the wind that carries the scent of parched earth. Their leaderless multitude begins to shift, thousands upon thousands of bodies aligning into motion. Dust rises again, that familiar golden mist that marks the start of another chapter. The zebras follow, their stripes glimmering like moving shadows, and behind them, the antelope join, driven by the same unspoken law. The ground trembles beneath them, and the air fills with the sound of life on the move, a deep, rolling thunder of hooves that can be felt from miles away. Above, vultures spiral lazily, knowing the feast of the journey will soon begin again. And as the herds move, so too do the predators. The lions watch in their territories, eyes glinting with both hunger and wisdom. They will follow, but only as far as their land allows. For even kings of the wild have boundaries they dare not cross. The cheetahs, ever opportunists, will trail the edges of the migration, seeking the weak, the newborn, the tired. Hyenas call out across the plains, shrill, chaotic, wild, their laughter both mocking and foretelling of what is to come. Crocodiles lie in wait, buried beneath mud and water, patient as time itself. The stage is set once again for the great play of life and death, written not in ink but in blood and dust. From high above, the savanna appears like a living organism, arteries of movement, veins of migration, pulses of pursuit and flight. Every creature, no matter how small, plays a role. The dung beetle rolls its perfect sphere through the grass, cleaning what others discard. The termites rebuild their towers after each storm, their societies mirroring the precision of empires. Birds ride on the backs of buffalo, cleaning parasites and warning of predators. Even the wind participates, spreading seeds across the plains, ensuring that where hooves churn the soil, green life will return. The entire system breathes as one, a masterpiece of chaos and order intertwined. As the camera's eye of imagination sweeps closer, we see the individuals within this vast movement, each one a story of its own. A young wildebeest calf keeps pace beside its mother, legs trembling but determined. A lioness crouches in the tall grass, calculating, her cubs watching from the shade behind her, learning what survival truly means. A lone elephant bull crosses the herd's path, towering and unbothered, his tusks carrying the wisdom of decades. Even the smallest lizard basking on a sun-warmed stone is part of this immense, interconnected tale. Every heartbeat contributes to the rhythm of the Savanna, a rhythm older than humanity, one that will continue long after the last human footprint has faded from its soil. For millions of years, this land has played host to the same eternal cycle: rain and drought, birth and death, migration and return. The creatures have changed, evolved, adapted, but the essence remains. This is nature's masterpiece, not a story of peace, but of persistence. The predators do not kill out of cruelty, nor do the prey run out of fear alone. Both act out their roles, written by instinct, shaped by evolution. Each kill feeds a land. Each death nurtures the next birth. In this way, life sustains itself endlessly. The Savanna's beauty lies not in perfection, but in balance, fragile, fleeting, and yet enduring beyond comprehension. As the sun climbs higher, the heat shimmers like a mirage. Dust swirls beneath hooves, and the endless plains stretch beyond sight. Somewhere, a lion's roar cuts through the distance, deep, resonant, final. The herd does not pause. They have heard this sound before. It is part of the language of the land, as natural as thunder or wind. To stop would be to die, to move is to live. And so they march on, toward unknown lands, toward danger and hope alike. Their journey will claim many, but it will also renew the promise of generations. This is the price and privilege of existence here. Everything is borrowed, nothing owned. As the day fades into dusk, the Savanna glows in the amber light of evening. Shadows grow long, stretching like memories across the earth. The air cools and the sounds change, the chatter of birds giving way to the haunting cries of night hunters. In the far distance, lightning flickers on the horizon, heralding another storm. It will come soon, as it always does, washing away the dust, reviving the grass, and feeding the rivers once more. The eternal cycle prepares to turn again. The narrator's voice, soft but steady, cuts through the stillness. And so, the story continues, not of beginnings or endings, but of return. The wild is not cruel. It is complete. It asks for nothing but balance. It gives nothing freely, yet it wastes nothing either. Every life here, from the tiniest insect to the mightiest lion, exists not for itself alone, but for the harmony of all. Night deepens. The stars bloom over Savannah, vast and endless. Beneath them, the world sleeps and wakes in intervals, some eyes closing in rest, others glowing in hunt. Fireflies drift through the grass like embers of the earth. The great herds, now silhouettes on the moon, continue their slow, tireless march toward destiny. Their hooves beat the rhythm of survival into the ground, echoing the pulse of creation itself. And as the camera pulls back, higher and higher, the land reveals its infinite expanse. Rivers gleam like veins of light. Thunderclouds swirl in the distance. The earth curves gently beneath a canopy of stars. It is a sight that humbles even the most powerful, reminding us that we are not above nature. We are of it. The Savanna, in all its beauty and brutality, is not just a place. It is a lesson, one written in sunlight and shadow, in blood and blossom. Here, life never ends. It only changes form. The wildebeest will run again. The lions will roar. The rains will fall. The story will begin anew, as it always has, and always will. This is a wild's promise, that even in death, life endures. This is a wild Savanna, The voice concludes softly, fading into the chorus of crickets and wind, where every ending is only the beginning of another story.